All right. Exciting day. James.
Hey,
Absolutely. Hey, absolutely wonderful to see you here. Did you see, have you seen Ross's new documentary yet?
I did. I did.
What'd you think?
I thought it was actually pretty incredible. The fact that somebody like uh, Dr. Garry Nolan and Michio Kaku participated in such a documentary so boldly was actually pretty amazing. And again, they made pretty bold statements.
Yeah, I appreciated that. I really admire Gary and Michio and everybody else that was in there. Leslie was in there as well. Other
Yeah,
folks that were kind of going a little bit further out than they even normally do, and it was brave. It's cool, and it feels like another step forward.
yeah.
Um,
Like I think as Gary said in that, like a sea change, which I think we've all noticed. And again, while being bold, they were being completely honest. Based on their knowledge of what's going on now with the phenomenon and the whole process of what we're seeing unfold right now.
Completely agreed. It's a really exciting time. James and I are here today to announce a really exciting event that we've been planning for a bit now. It's an event called An Inquiry into Anomalous Experiences and the Phenomenon.
It's taking place in Manhattan on Saturday, October 8th, and we would love for you to join us either online or in person.
But first things first, you should know who else will be joining us that day. Dr. Garry Nolan is the Ratchford and Carlotta A. Harris Professor in the Department of Pathology at Stanford University School of Medicine. He trained with Leonard Herzenberg for his PhD and Nobelist Dr. David Baltimore for postdoctoral work. He's published over 300 research articles and is the holder of 40 U.S. patents and has been honored as one of the top 25 inventors at Stanford University. Dr. Nolan's efforts are to enable a deeper understanding not only of normal immune function, trauma, pathogen infection, and other inflammatory events, but also detailed substructures of leukemias and solid cancers and their interactions with the immune system, which will enable wholly new understandings that will enable better management of disease and clinical outcomes. Gary, thanks so much for joining us today.
Great. Well, it would be great to see everybody in New York. It's always a pleasure to be there. And I look forward to discussing all of our common interests when I get there. It should be a lot of fun.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, Gary. Our next speaker we'd like to announce today is Timothy Grieve-Carlson. Tim is assistant professor in the Department of Religion and Philosophy at Westminster College in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania. He earned his PhD in religious studies from Rice University in Houston, Texas in 2022, where he worked on the Archives of the Impossible Project with Professor Jeffrey J. Kripal. Tim was also 2021 to 2022 fellow at the McNeil Center for Early American Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. His research focuses on the relationship between environmental phenomena and religious practice. His book manuscript, American Aurora, Environment and Apocalypse in Early Pennsylvania, explores environmental knowledge and apocalyptic thought in the religious discourses of the early modern mid-Atlantic world. Tim holds graduate certificates from the Center for Critical and Cultural Theory, the Center for Teaching Excellence, and the study of Gnosticism, esotericism, and mysticism in the Department of Religion at Rice. His academic writing has appeared in the journals American Religion, Journal for the Study of Religion, Nature, and Culture, Correspondences, a journal of esotericism, and Magic, Ritual, and Witchcraft. Tim, it's great. We're so excited to have you joining us for this event.
Hey, Jay. Hey, James. I'm super excited about this event. I think it's going to be a wonderful conversation. And I'm really just ecstatic to share the bill with the people you've lined up and to join you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's actually great to meet you here. This is the first time I'm meeting you, Tim, and that is a damn impressive resume there, buddy.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it was a little bit too long hearing it read out like that, but yeah, I appreciate it. I'm excited. I'm excited for this event in particular because I'm going to be test driving a new research project for the first time, something a little more contemporary and a little bit more directly related to the UFO phenomena and ecology. So I'm very excited to be able to share it at this event.
Amazing. Oh, that's so exciting! It's so exciting to hear.
Yeah, sure.
Our next speaker for the event that we'd like to announce today is Exo Academian, Darren. Darren is a researcher, experiencer, and podcaster, publicly working under the name Exo Academian, who brings a multidisciplinary approach to the study of the UFO phenomenon and general paranormality, recognizing that what we are really dealing with is an overarching topic involving the interrelated and overlapping elements of UFO sightings, interactions with non-human intelligence, OBEs, NDEs, and psi phenomena such as telepathy, telekinesis, and clairsentience. Darren is keyed in on the big questions that arise from this field of theory, or field of study, i.e., who are we, who are these others, and what is the ultimate nature of reality? Darren's work includes both the Point of Convergence podcast, which addresses the overlapping nature of these elements, and Liminal Frames, a conversational podcast he co-hosts, which delves into these and related matters, including the intersection of the UFO phenomenon and religious history. Darren, it's absolutely exciting and wonderful to have you joining us here for. Is this actually your first public talk that you'll have given?
In a way,
this kind of
yes.
space?
I mean, I spoke at the Monroe event, but in terms of like a public conference, yeah, this is the first time. And like Tim said, I'm really excited to join you guys and join a star-studded cast and really dive into the cutting edge elements of studying this phenomenon.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really grateful, Exo, to have come across you early on when you were coming up and just starting your podcast. And I'm really excited to hear what you're going to delve into, because you always have like really insightful thoughts to offer to the conversation. So that's going to be awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's kind of been it's been my own journey in some ways, and I've kind of shared it with people as I've been going through it. And I've had interest in psi phenomena and things like near-death experiences and the UFO phenomenon. And I used to at one point see those as kind of separate topics, but as time has gone on and I've looked at more and more evidence, it seems clear that it's some sort of overarching phenomenon and says something about reality itself. So that's kind of what I've been really keyed in on. And it's those questions and the overlap that I really hope to address at the conference.
Excellent. And for those of us in the audience that may not know about this Monroe Institute event that you were just referring to, could you clue us in a little bit on what you were doing out there?
Yeah, in many ways, it's related to what I was just saying. The goal with the Monroe Institute event was to look at the relationship between consciousness and the UFO phenomenon. Kind of that being sort of an assumption we're going in with, that there seems to be some overlap between all of these elements. Actually, make contact, use C5 and the heist protocols. But we also worked on some telepathy, some clairvoyance stuff. We had different exercises to do with lucid dreaming. We, of course, used astral projection because this was the Monroe Institute, which is famous for the hemisync kind of technology they developed. So the goal at this event was to take all of these different elements, put them together, experiment together as a group, and see what we can learn about the phenomenon in general.
Absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic. And I think that's cutting edge. I think we need more of that in the field right now.
It looks like we lost Darren for a second here. I hope he's coming back. I'll wait until I ask my next question.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. We'll hope he bounces back. Oh, there he is. Great.
At what point did that cut out?
Actually, right when you finished, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Good.
All right.
Good.
And Tim, I met you earlier this year at the Archives conference down at Rice, and as I stated earlier in your bio, you've worked on the Archives of the Impossible, both the event itself and the archives themselves. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So like as you said, Jay, I did a PhD at Rice with Professor Kreipel, and while I was there, Jeff was organizing this really exciting and unique project at Rice in the Woodson Center for Research at the library at Rice, which began actually with the donation of the papers of Jacques Vallée, who you guys have probably never heard of, and and so that's how it started. Jacques wanted an archival home for his life's work, basically, and Jeff decided to make that happen. Once Jeff started doing that, and he's told this story a few times, he heard from Whitley Strieber, who also had a pretty enormous collection of archival material, letters actually that people wrote to Whitley after the publication of Communion. The next major collection that appeared was Ed May, the director for the Project Stargate. And so pretty quickly, the collection blossomed, and it became a real endeavor to catalog everything, work with the donors, bring it all together. It was a labor of love that took place over a period of years and ultimately culminated in this really great conference that I met Jay at and a lot of other people, where we were able to have our major donors give plenary talks. And I think it was just a really kind of affirming event for everyone there that these topics are legitimate. There's different ways to study these topics, and those differences in our methods are valid, right? And yeah, so that's how I met Jay, and that project, it's almost hard to believe that I'm no longer there, because that was my work for a long time.
It's amazing. It was an amazing event, and just the fact that it's there in general, and being there with such a group of people, the work that you've done there and with Jeff and others, it's so absolutely inspiring. And I think the event itself was incredibly inspiring, that conference earlier this year. And, that's part of what James and I were kind of talking about in planning this event, thinking like, why can't there be events like that, or even just having that a piece of the kind of wonderful conversations and discussions and lectures that we saw there. And why don't we have that in New York? Why doesn't the East Coast in general have more conversations like this? And
Right.
and it kind of blossomed from there a little bit in the last few months. Wouldn't you say, James?
Yeah, absolutely. And there aren't things like this on the East Coast, and especially in New York. And it's curious. And I think that having people such as yourself, Tim, and Exo, or Darren, and Dr. Garry Nolan, to speak at an event, it's a public event in New York City, is a powerful message, and it's really like a demonstration of the sea change and where we are at now. We're having this open public conversation in the middle of New York City, again, with all these individuals in a very serious manner, and not to degrade research or in any way at all, but it's not maybe what you would say is a typical ufology event. These are all people who are very serious and dedicated to the study of the phenomenon and the experiences thereof, and hence the title. So I think that there's power in doing something like this, and hopefully we're setting the scene and the stage for things to come, and to show where the conversation, how far it has come now. That in the center of New York City, we have academics and really bright people and experiencers coming together for an event to talk about this openly, like we should be.
Absolutely. Completely agreed. And as James and I were inspired by that conference earlier this year, and, we were joking about it earlier, because we thought, in looking at why aren't there more events in New York City with covering these kinds of topics? And there's that old phrase, right? If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, right? And people don't often think of kind of the inverse of that phrase, is that it's easier to put on anything outside of New York City. New York City is a very challenging place to do a major event, but we're really looking forward to it today. And last for today, but certainly not least, Ralph Blumenthal. a distinguished lecturer at Baruch College of the City University of New York, and summer journalism instructor at Phillips Exeter Academy, was an award-winning reporter for the New York Times from 1964 to 2009, and has written 7 books on organized crime and cultural history. He led the Times Metro team that won the Pulitzer Prize for breaking news coverage of the 1993 truck bombing of the World Trade Center. In 2001, Blumenthal was named a Fellow of the John Simon Guggenheim Memorial Foundation to research the progressive career and penal reforms of Warden Louis E. Laws, quote-unquote, the man who made Sing Sing sing. The book on Warden Laws, Miracle at Sing Sing, was published by St. Martin's in June 2004. During the coronavirus pandemic, he has contributed articles to the Times and other publications, worked from home on his Baruch Archives blog, An Adventure in Democracy, and given virtual talks on his new book, The Believer, Alien Encounters, Hard Science, and the Passion of John Mack. For more than 45 years, Blumenthal led an extensive and illustrious career at the Times as Texas correspondent and Southwest bureau chief, arts and culture news reporter, investigative and crime reporter, foreign correspondent, and Metro and Westchester correspondent. He began his journalism career as reporter, columnist for the Grand Prairie Daily News Texan in 1963. Blumenthal earned a Guggenheim Fellowship in 2001, a Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism Alumni Award, and the Nyman Foundation's Worth Bingham Prize for distinguished investigative reporting on U.S. air crashes. He was named a Townsend Harris Medalist of the City College Alumni Association in 2012 and inducted into the CCNY Communications Alumni Hall of Fame in May 2010. Since 2010, he has taught journalism in the high school international summer program of Phillips Exeter Academy in Exeter, New Hampshire, and in 2010 was named a distinguished lecturer at Baruch College, where he taught journalism and currently oversees historic collections in the Newman Library Archives. Ralph, it's a huge honor to have you joining us for this event.
Jay, thank you so much for that long introduction. I'm humbled. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be joining you for this program. And, you know, you're talking about New York City as a location. We've had our sightings in New York City, too, which kind of surprised me when I looked up some of the statistics. But, you know, you'd think that California always leads the way in UFO sightings, maybe because more people spend time out of doors there. But New York City has had its share. I was amazed to find that out. And so it is a good location for the subject. And it'd be a real pleasure to join you all on October 8th. I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent. That's amazing. And let's see, Tim, you've never met Ralph, have you?
No.
Ralph, Tim, Ralph?
No.
I never
It's nice
have.
to meet
Ralph.
you virtually, all of you guys, James, etc. So, Darren, thank you all. It'll be a real pleasure to join with you in this program.
Excellent. All right. Well, all right. This has been an absolutely wonderful announcement. It's a great opportunity and excuse to get all of you here together, and it's been a lot of fun. So thanks so much to everybody for pulling this together today. And to everybody watching out there, we look forward to seeing you in person and online on Saturday, October 8th. All right, guys.
Terrific.
I think that's it.
Looking
Great.
forward. Great.
Yeah.